What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting things to change. That is crazy. That is basically an excerpt from a quote from a certain wise yet insane character from Far Cry 3. And honestly, in fairness, many characters seem to have taken that philosophy to heart. I mean, granted, while there are a lot of characters who are kind of interesting in their own right, many of them are more or less just kind of sane. But when it comes down to it, many of us love it when a character is a little, well, loco in the cabeza, to say the least. And honestly, I think it might be a time to take a look at our favorites of these insano characters. So, in this case, it's time to count down the top 10 most insane characters in video games. That being said, one per franchise, and they have to have some way of being considered crazy in some way, shape, or form. Which really does say a lot. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting off first, we have the Rabbids. Starting off first at number 10, we have the Rabbids from the Rayman franchise. Alright. That being said, like always, I have never played any game in the Rayman franchise at all. Like, Rayman wasn't even on my radar back when I was growing up and starting playing through games on the N64 and Game Boy. And in all fairness, it's really disappointing how that is. However, one group of characters I tend to notice are the Rabbids, who are more or less insane, to say the least. And naturally, there's always one character who tends to take over as a sort of de facto mascot for their franchise. Case in point being the Minion, similar to the Minions from Despicable Me, if anyone remembers. There's how those guys are everywhere. That being said, the Rabbids are more or less just kind of zombie-like rabbit enemies who are driven to insanity due to being bullied by other creatures in the world. And considering how they were meant to be enemies for the video game Rayman's Raving Rabbids, really does say a lot. However, over time, they overtook Rayman as the sort of mascot for their franchise, and they became somewhat of an insane presence, causing mischief, mayhem, and havoc wherever they went. And honestly, it's fairly enjoyable, to say the least. I mean, even in the Mario plus Rabbids franchise, they show up ever since the Mario and Rabbids series got started. Honestly, they've shown that they've even spread in mischief to the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's kind of interesting to see how their mental processes tend to showcase things. Granted, that being said, most of the Rabbids aren't as insane as others. I mean, Spawny is just adorable, but mainly because he's not malicious in his mischief, he's just misguided. And Woodrow is kind of a melancholy individual. Daphne's an evil mastermind, and Midnight, Honestly, it kind of makes me wonder why the Mario franchise is making rabbits so hot. Seriously, first it's Harriet, now Midnight. What the heck, Nintendo? Moving on next at number 9, we have Yuga from The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. Honestly, when it comes down to it, the Zelda franchise is an equally interesting franchise, to say the least. And naturally, you'd be hard-pressed to find a character that could be considered as, well, insane. And yes, while I was considering Xant from Twilight Princess, due to the fact that the guy is, well, literally a little bit, well, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, especially since he ends up taking over Hyrule and the Twilight Realm before being hijacked by Ganon, Yuga is basic. We have Yuga, who eventually was first seen trapping people into paintings in the name of beauty. Yeah, the first time we see him, he ends up trapping the priestess Ceres in a painting, since she's shown to be a sage. And as soon as we see him, and when he turns around, yeah, we notice the insanity in his eyes. And this guy just sees while he sees the beauty in everything, he's a little too obsessed. And such, he even sees, when he sees Link, he dismisses him as being unbeautiful before just trapping him in the wall. Surprisingly enough, due to a bracelet that Ravio, seriously, do not like Ravio, ended up giving Link. This ended up giving him the ability to merge into walls, basically allowing him to travel between both Hyrule and Lorule later on. However, as it turns out, he mostly did it in order to help Lorule after her Princess Hilda ended up causing Lorule's Triforce to become, well, corrupted, causing monsters to swarm into her world. Yeah. Says a lot when you consider everything involving the game. Granted, like Xant, Yuga does get hijacked by Ganon. But that being said, Yuga's one of the more interesting, insane characters that the Zelda franchise has brought to life. Moving on next, at number 8, we have King Ollie from Paper Mario: The Origami King. Yeah. Speaking of characters who honestly have their own interesting efforts of being found as insane, the Paper Mario franchise has a lot of characters that honestly seem to kind of buck that trend. Again, case in point, I could have at least considered Dementio, because there's a rule that is going around: never trust a clown. However, Dementio is only the way he is because he's more or less kind of he's playing 4D chess, is what I'm trying to say. King Ollie, on the other hand, he is just full-on proven to be insane. And naturally, at the start of Paper Mario: The Origami King, when Mario and Luigi first arrive at Peach's castle, and in order to meet Peach for an origami festival, yeah, you notice something is up when you notice Peach acting oddly. As it turns out, this is because King Ollie has folded not just Peach, but many of Bowser's troops into origami soldiers as a result of basically taking over the Mushroom Kingdom. And even hanging his own sister Olivia up to dry. All because of a vendetta against Toads. Of course, eventually you do find out the reason for his insanity is because the Toad's craftsman that created him basically ended up writing something on him, which we wonder what exactly it is he wrote on him. Granted, as it soon turns out, it was all just a misunderstanding, and it turns out it was a sort of affirmation as to him being, and a hope that he would become a kind king, or a kind individual. Yeah. Just, wow. Really makes you think. But either way, he does essentially, have his own. It kind of proves how kind of crazy the guy can be. Moving on, next at number 7, we have the Soldier from Team Fortress 2. Now, I have not played TF2, but honestly, when it comes down to it, I would be remiss to not mention any of the mercenaries of Manco. And honestly, really does say a lot. And honestly, while you do have individuals like the Pyro, who, well, you can guess from his name, or even the Black Sky Cyclops himself, the Demo Man, honestly, the Soldier tends to come to mind, as he's basically just American patriotism incarnate. As he's just one of the more American stereotypes that you think of. Just gung-ho, always willing to fight, and always willing to start wars. As it turns out, he basically got drummed out of the military or the army because he was so crazy, that leading him to go into World War II as a one-man army of his own. Also, and basically just killing swaths of enemies in the name of America. Yeah. Honestly, it does say a lot, and his tenuous knowledge of Bible stories really does kind of make you question his intelligence. But he's a funny character nonetheless. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on, next at number 6, we have Fireman from Mega Man 1. Honestly, when it comes down to it, most Robot Masters, again, aren't insane. Many of them are just reprogrammed by Dr. Wily. And Fireman just definitely is one of those that proves that, and it's the whole thing, as for most of it, we don't know if he really is insane. However, play Mega Man powered up for the PSP, as it gives him a new sort of characterization that he's obsessed with becoming a hero of justice and obsessed with fire. Honestly, that's proof enough as is. Just screaming fire all the time is just, it's not working for sanity. This will be continued in part 2.